Right, guys, from wintry Bulgaria. Got a little bit of snow on the ground here. It's only about 2, 3 inches. Kind of snow that brings the UK to a standstill, and doesn't go to a standstill here until it's a metre deep. But it's only because really they're not. People aren't set up for it in the UK because it doesn't snow that often. But when it does, you can be sure that everyone knows about it. So I just want to do a little bit of a roundup, and there's more and more stuff coming out now in Bulgaria. Little bits of good news, which you don't get in the UK. I mentioned that before, and even little tiny tidbits of wins. I like little tiny bits. Anything's a win. Anything positive, which doesn't ever seem to happen now in England. And that it's morale more than anything. Now, they've just announced that pensions might go up here 9-10%. Now, you could argue, and you can always argue something else and say, that the pensions are behind anyway. But that doesn't matter as long as they're going up. It's a win. It means you're going in the right direction, however far behind you are, which I have always thought about Bulgaria, and it's kind of been maybe beneficial because they've always got that card to play anyway. They do play it all the time with Brussels anyway, that we're poor and we're too poor because you've told us we're poor. So we're poor and we can't do anything unless you give us a load of money, ever. And that's how they do it. And they've just announced they're going to provide Ukraine with more weapons in that, because they make the certain types of sizes of shells here that the old Soviet weapons of war use, and they've still got everything here to make it, and they've been making it for the last few years, but they don't give it to them, they sell it, because obviously they just say, well, if the EU's pledged a load of money to and weapons to Ukraine, they say, well, we can make them, but we haven't got the money to. We need the money out of that fund, which we're probably not putting much into. So they get paid to produce the weapons, and they're getting paid for this as well. It says that in the article, and it's mostly surplus to the requirements here. And I don't know how it's surplus. Maybe they got a small army. Anyway, but they're selling it. They're not giving it away. And that's how they operate here. Which I find quite amusing, really, all the time. Maybe the EU doesn't know they're being had off. And I think they're being had off all the time, actually, especially by Bulgaria. They've got they worked it out. At first, they didn't work it out for about 5 years. From 2007, nothing really happened, and then they started going, hang on a minute, and then they had the presidency of the EU a couple of times. I think it's a couple of times now, and then they got to know how you fleece them, and they do. And there's never a week goes by where they haven't got money for something, but the border or wheat or sunflowers or something, infrastructure, power, green power, everything. They just say we need money to do that. We want to go green, but we can't unless you give us a load of money. That's how they do it. So we got a few articles here, Sofia's streets light up with festive Christmas trams. So they've done a load of these Christmas trams now. They're not usually massive on Christmas, but they seem to be getting into it now. And the Christmas markets and that, they weren't huge. It was always massive here, New Year. But Christmas was like, it was here, but like it wasn't massive. But they're getting into it now because it's another excuse for a holiday. And I'll come on to that in a minute. So they've got 6 specially decorated trams, and they've got like a couple of retro trams, the old ones, which they've brought back in. I mean, the if they renovate them and that, the tracks are all the same size, the original tracks. So they've also got the Christmas lights in there. So it says here, in addition to bringing joy to those on board, these festive vehicles will also add a touch of magic to the streets of Sofia, making the city shine with holiday warmth and light. I mean, how good is that? And then they've opened the, I think it's open now, the biggest ice rink in the Balkans, the city ice rink. And it's got the Christmas market around it, where you can buy overpriced food. And like all these markets, they just sell food. Now, why you need food just to go around the Christmas market? I'd eat before I went, or like after. Anyway, you can get overpriced bannitzes. But I'm sure it looks great, and they've got free stuff for kids. They've got free lessons, ice skating lessons for kids. I think anybody else pays around about 18, 20 lev for 2 hours. I think that's a bit excessive, but like, it's the capital city, and like, you've got to pay for things there. But that's the ice rink. And so that'll be good, and they're going to have shows on the ice and everything for with the professional ice skaters, and then the kids are going to get free ice skating lessons, so they can pay next year. When they learn to ice skate for nothing, it's like giving people cigarettes to get them started, you know. And then they'll charge them next year. So Sofia's lights and all the hotels are now doing the packages, 3-day packages for Christmas. They didn't used to be massive on it, like I say, Christmas, but like they promote it. Any excuse here for a party or a holiday, I mean, they'll take it, you know. But it's not cheap. 3 days. It's the average price is 2,600 lev. Now I don't know whether that's a double, a couple. I'll look into it, and I should have looked into it really. But kids 12 and under go for free. I mean, that's good if you've got 2 or 3 kids and they're free. I mean, that can't be bad, can it? Obviously, they're gonna have these family rooms. They're not gonna have more rooms. They'll just put more beds in the room. I mean, some of the hotels here have got 6 beds in them. You know? I've been to loads of hotels in all around the Balkans. Got like I think the record was about 6 in Albania. The Hotel Brasilia, which is a dive that we ended up in one night. Much to the despair of the lady that was with us. It was minging, you know, and that was it was in the back of beyond, you know, Albania and the mountains, but it wasn't great, you know. So they've also got another thing for the pensioners, which, you know, you could say, well, they get very small pensions anyway, but they're giving the pensioners, 400,000 pensioners, 100 lev for Christmas, which is 50 quid. Now it's 50 quid that you haven't got on the 24th, isn't it? You know? So anything's a win, and this is a morale thing, morale booster, and they do these things, and it's a good idea, because it's you can say it's nothing and all the rest of it. Well, they've done the opposite in the UK. They've taken £200-300, which I think is very little money over a winter. That's all they're taking off. And I say that not lightly, but like, it's not a massive figure. 200 quid from the heating thing, which they shouldn't have done. I'm not saying they should have done it, because it's a small amount of money, but like, it was totally unnecessary, absolutely totally unnecessary to do it that way. If they're going to penalise it's a disgrace, really. So anyway, and people can still get it, but they've got to jump through about 200 hoops to get it, but if they're desperate, they can get it, So and I think someone, in some room somewhere in the civil servant said, well, not everyone needs it, and actually they probably don't, and or if it was means tested, they wouldn't be eligible. But like, the way they did it, but what they're doing now is taking away from everyone, and those who really, really need it have to do all this stuff. So anyway, going back to Bulgaria, they're giving them 50 quid or more, 100 lev, or no, less actually, £50 for Christmas. Now, instead of taking away 200, they're giving them here £50, but it's not for heating or anything like that. Now, I think they already get heating. They did a few years ago on the firewood. They had a special scheme where the pensioners paid less, and I don't know whether that's still the case or whatever. It probably is. They give the pensioners this, that, the other, and like, as they do almost everywhere, but they are on low pensions, so you can argue that these are starting from a lower place, but like, I've always thought that was okay in Bulgaria, because you can live on fresh air, and I've proved it the last 3 years. I've proved it to myself, and I've proved it to you now as well, because my bill for living here is 5,000. It's around about €5,300 with holidays and with firewood for the winter and next winter, and well, one winter anyway, 5 cubic meters. That's what I bought this year. I'm going to buy 10 next year if it's the same price. And that went down as well this year, markedly, a lot. It was 100 lev, and I think last year it was about 160. Certainly was the year before that, 160, because I bought some then. But I had 20 cube from the last house, which I brought with me. So, so also, we've got the kids that they've made January the 3rd a non-school day, so they get an extra day's holiday. I don't know when they go back, but like, I assume it was the 3rd, but they're not now. They're going back on the 4th, or if that might be a Friday, I don't know. And they've just had a few days. There's Student Day, which is today. They have a day for everything, and you do get students coming into the mountains here and having it all get wrecked in the hotels, and they rent houses out and all that. Student Day, and we've just had 2 days ago Nicolen Day, which is St. Nicholas, which is they have name days, which is another excuse if you want to have a little party, which I didn't, which is Nicholas Day, and there's loads and loads and loads of name days which people all know. And there was another one, I think it was yesterday, where they have they eat the carp from the lakes or freshwater fish. If you don't like carp, I don't like carp. I just don't even like the look of it. I like trout, and if I'm gonna have fish I forget what day it was now. So on another note, they had some elections for the president in Romania, and this guy who was he's pro farming. I mean, how bad's that? Pro farming, and he's like anti-war. He doesn't want the war. He doesn't want anyone to win it. He just doesn't want it on his doorstep, and he wants it to end. And like Hungary, they've just said it's not worth it. As it stands, it's not worth carrying on with, and that's what his stance is. And he's pro-Romanian. He's like Romania first, like America first, or GB first. So he's dubbed now, as you can imagine, all sorts of things, far right wing, or maybe he's right so far, or maybe it's the right wing and the wrong wing. That's what I think it could be, not the left wing, the wrong wing. That's what it looks like anyway, looking at Paris. I watched a thing by Neil McCoy Ward the other day. It's like a war zone. Paris. It's like a war zone. Why anybody would go there? And he took his wife and marched around the streets. And I was like, it didn't look like she was really wanted to be there. And she actually didn't go to this rough area where he wanted to go and see how rough it was. And I don't blame her. And now why anyone would go there? Now, if you want to go to like a romantic place, Paris is not the place anymore. Try Budapest or Zagreb. Zagreb's classy, and I bet you there the Christmas setup is brilliant, because we went one year and it was fantastic. You have all these farmers' stalls and all these. It's like sort of arty crafty. These stalls in the centre, fantastic. I don't know whether they're there every day, but like they were there when we went. And Budapest is reportedly very good, and like now it looks like Sofia's gone on a bandwagon. They got a big Christmas set up there now, which will be good. And who knows, I might even go and have a look, although I doubt it. So the other one is Christmas packages, which I started talking about, and all the hotels are full. That's what it says. All the hotels are fully booked, and they're not cheap, these packages, what I can see. And so that's what's going on in Bulgaria leading up to Christmas, and they're putting all the lights up in our town here now. I think they're up. 8 to 9 pension increase starting July 2025. Bulgaria achieves 92% internet coverage for households. 92%. I bet you it isn't in the UK. The UK was hopeless when I was there for internet. Hopeless. Even in the cities. I mean, I went to the last place I stayed when I was using Wi-Fi was my brother's house, and it kept dropping out all the time. This BT, whatever it was absolutely garbage compared with here. This is super fast, and we're on cable here. And it does go down if the power goes out, the internet goes down. We do have the odd outage, but not much. And then you can get it on your phone if you want to. Anyway, we're which I don't. I just have a break when the internet's down. I'm down. So Bulgaria sees positive economic trends with 2.4% GDP growth in the third quarter. All good news, and it's all little wins, and that's quite typical actually over the Balkans. That's the growth, and people say we're catching up with the West, like catching up with the UK. I think we're swapping places with them, to be honest. Okay, cheers.